Afternoon. Afternoon. We'll go ahead with roll call.
Roll call. Commissioner Markley.
Here.
Commissioner McKiernan is absent. Commissioner Townsend.
Here.
Commissioner Bynum.
Here.
Commissioner Davis.
Here.
All right, guys. First on the agenda is sort of a new item. We had a little misunderstanding about one of the projects that we awarded, which I think Commissioner Townsend helped ferret out. But Angel and Erica are going to address that item with us so we can make a decision about how to handle that situation. I don't know who wants to take it from there.
Well, I'll go ahead and get us started. So as we were going through the applications and making contact with the awardees, we realized that we had awarded the match amount, so the administrative amount that is needed for the parks project for cameras. And I'll let Angel speak to the full project itself, but the remainder is roughly $194,000 for the actual technology, equipment, and installation, and all of the pieces to actually make that all come to life. So Angel, would you and maybe Gail help walk us through the project?
Yeah, thank you. Real quick, Lisa, I don't know if you can see if Gail Jones is on. If so, could you promote her to a panelist, please?
Yes, I just did. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. And so while she's getting promoted and on, I'll let her go into a little bit more detail. I will say that we worked really closely with her and her department. She definitely took the lead on this, and we've really appreciated her work and consideration because we know that this will be very beneficial for parks. So I see she's been promoted. I'll let her kind of take it away and explain the overview.
Thank you, Angel. Yes, we met with sheriff, we met with parks. We also talked a little bit with the police department and agreed that park surveillance and video footage was very, very important for addressing existing crimes, potential crimes, et cetera. The approach they wanted to take was to first put cameras outside 6 different community centers, 1 or 2 cameras at each location to monitor the parking lots, the ingress, the egress, and some of them are on parks as well. So to get a good panoramic as appropriate for any related park area. And then they picked about 10 parks that were high priority. That they had specific, they'd had crime in the past, or they have other types of incidents, graffiti, whatever. And we walked through every park and that they picked and found a couple of different strategic locations that they would like to have cameras located. And then we spec'd it out with the vendor, and that's it. It's just, again, a listing of cameras that the sheriffs and the parks wanted to strategically look at their high priority parks.
Commissioner Markley,
Right.
can you tell us the amount requested, the amount we awarded
Yes.
incorrectly, and the difference?
The amount.
But someone here can.
Yeah.
The amount requested was 194. The amount awarded was 9,000. So the difference is about $186,000.
Okay, so we need 186,000. And is this an application that came in under parks or sheriff?
It actually came in under parks.
Okay.
And Sheriff Soptic is in the attendees too. He's being promoted to a panelist and be able to speak to that as well.
Commissioner Bynum, anything else? I have Commissioner Townsend with a question as well.
No, thanks.
Commissioner Townsend.
Thank you, Madam Chair. No question, not really, just a comment. I remember this application, supported it 100%, how it only got 9,000 instead of the other. Not sure, however, this is the guts of the application, so I have no problem, no question whatsoever in fully funding this project. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, I mean, obviously,
Well, one other proviso, but I heard Ms. Jones say this, that the experts are looking at the most strategic places around the parks to put this. I sure hope some of that lends itself to targeting the restrooms, which seem to be a favorite spot of vandals for whatever reason. So, but I am fully supportive of, funding that project entirety, which, I think we all thought was happening. So, thank you. That's it.
Thanks, Commissioner. I'm seeing some nodding heads. Commissioner Davis?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Was there a reason why these two were separated? Like why the administration and then why the cameras? Was that just an admin thing or?
I think it was just an error. I mean, Erica can jump in, but I think it was just a processing error that ended up getting us the wrong number.
Yeah, as we were looking at the two spreadsheets, it was a miscommunication of what was fully needed to fund the whole program versus what they were breaking out to give the administrative portion of this, because there is a cap on the administrative allowability within ARPA. So I think that they were doing their due diligence to help us out and it tripped us up on accident. So that's on the iParametric side. It was a mistake.
Gotcha. And for the administrative piece, the 9,000 is going to who exactly? Like who's the administrative person?
Those that are project managing this for us. So I believe that there's a piece with the sheriff's office, there's a piece with the parks department. So those interface people that are going to need to put those people together.
Okay, gotcha. We're just putting that money there for this particular project. Okay, yeah, I'm in 100%. Oh, sorry, Ms. Jones.
No, I was just going to say that there is an additional match component to that funding that we will be using an existing server that we had from our vaccination centers. So we applied that as part of our match, as well as a bit of personnel expenses.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. Well, yeah, I fully support this. We've had a lot of just unfortunate events, had, shooting in my district not too long ago at Eisenhower. And these cameras absolutely, can help. I know that brings that $3.1 million down a bit to what, maybe 2.9, 2 point whatever, but this is absolutely worth the investment. So I'm all in favor of this.
Great. Suddenly feeling extra happy that we left that 3.1 million out there. So that makes this decision a little bit easier, right? I'm not hearing anyone say they're not supportive of funding the application. Anybody want to naysay me there? Sounds like we're having support. Sheriff Sopcich, thanks for joining us. Is there anything you wanted to add?
I mean, nothing other than just thank you for the support. And I would echo what Commissioner Davis said. We've had a whole lot of unfortunate things that have happened, and where I can't get into details on specifics, we've definitely had at least one case where not just a regular camera, but a little more sophisticated version of camera was the deciding, or not the deciding factor, but what tipped us in being able to solve one of these crimes. So, just having something on video isn't always going to, be the breaking point, or it's not always going to solve it or whatever. But not having it just puts us at a disadvantage, and we've just seen too much to not at least try. And we get video of something, we're able to put out a description of a vehicle, description of a person. That just puts us that much further ahead. So I know I'm preaching to the choir, but just thank you so much for supporting it. And hate that we had to go through this little extra, bit of exercise, but thanks for understanding. And that's really all I've got.
All right. Thank you again for being here. All right. So what I'm hearing is we are supportive of moving forward with that full funded amount for this application. It sounds like this is going to get pushed off the agenda for this Thursday anyway. I'm only going to be on Zoom, and I'm only going to be there for the first part of the meetings. The mayor, I think, was concerned that I wasn't going to be there potentially in person to bring this forward. I was comfortable you guys can handle it, but I'm good with being there as well. So he's going to push it off anyway. So I think that'll work out nicely, because then we can make sure that this is updated and that what goes in the agenda is everything that it's supposed to be and has this change in it. So when this does come on the agenda, should have all the updated amounts for final approval. So I'm just glad we caught it before we got to that point, so we didn't have to go back and run through everything over again. All right, well, that was easier than we thought it was going to be. That gives us extra time on our next item. And Sheriff Sopcich, you're welcome to hang out with us, but you're also welcome to go about your day.
I can be dismissed. I've definitely got some. Other things to do. Thank you all very much.
Thanks
Yeah,
for
thank
being
you.
on. Same thing for, yeah, Angel and team, same thing. All right. So now, two things. If somebody could run the calculation, it doesn't necessarily have to be the second, but somebody run the calculation to let us know what that 3.1 million looks like now. I'd like to know that exact number and just have it out there so everybody knows what the figure is, since we took that extra 150 some off. But that's the figure we're going to talk about now. And I don't have like a big set agenda for us. We really just need to have some discussion amongst us about what this money goes toward. And I think we've all sort of talked in little pockets and groups about the fact that there's a lot of housing related ideas out there, but none of those ideas seem to be quite shovel ready to the point where it's going to be easy for us to meet this deadline. So we have to make some decisions about what makes the most sense and what is going to be timely enough to spend this money on and still meet our purposes. So Commissioner Bynum, jump right in.
Yay, thanks. So I'm gonna throw out 4 applications that are in our big bundle. Just to start the conversation. And I'll give a little bit of editorial comment here. Area Agency on Aging had like 3 or 4 apps, one of which was $2 million. But the others were smaller and more manageable with the remaining funding. So that would be one. I would be advocating for something for Area Agency because obviously the older adults were hit really hard and continue to pay a really heavy price. Pharmacy of Grace would be an application that I would like to return to, because this is the only nonprofit charitable pharmacy in, I think, the entire state. So this is a pharmacy located inside Mercy and Truth Medical Building at 31st and just south of Minnesota. So this is a place where folks who either do have insurance or don't can fill their prescriptions. If you do have insurance, by utilizing their pharmacy, you are helping them fund those who don't. And they have built amazing relationships with pharmaceutical industry to bring much needed drugs to folks who simply can't afford them. And I have to knock on wood because I take certain medications, but I can pay for them. And some of what they are distributing there is beyond any of our capabilities, let alone someone who's low income. I would put in a plug for looking again at Wyandotte Behavioral Health Network, just because I believe that mental health really rose to the top in our community engagement sessions. And lastly, I would like us to look at our own economic development department had put in an application to extend the small business assistance into Bonner and Edwardsville. And I'd like us to look at that. And with that, I'll stop. I'll say one more thing. I'm still standing in support of some amount of money that would seed a housing trust fund. And now I'm done.
All right, Commissioner Davis.
Thanks, Chair. I mean, I think, like, from a process standpoint, 2 things come to mind about how we can go about dividing, particularly the eligibility stuff, the money that needs to be spent by, I believe, the end of 2024. We can look at the applications that were ranked and see, those that were unfunded but were still ranked higher. We can, pick a number of those applications and say, hey, from a scalability standpoint, we have this much pot of money left. What would you do with X, amount of money? That would be a little bit more methodical. I would also prefer that if we go through with that process, that we also have the wild cards, because I think there are particular issues, such as I agree with the small business resiliency grant that may not have ranked as high, but are still definitely priorities. So I think we can do a myriad of things. We can go with what ranked highest, we can go with commissioner's wild card, we can do a mix of what was ranked highest plus the wild card, and then see what money is left over. I'm good with whatever process, as long as it's methodical and makes sense. I'm good with that. As far as the housing conversation or housing trust fund, I do not believe these particular dollars should be used to seed a trust fund. I think if we continue, and I'm for continuing that conversation, it should be with what's left in revenue replacement. And we should have kind of that conversation alongside the conversation of matching potential grants, and see where our priorities lie as far as how much money we like to do. I still stand by, I think we need to get the folks from Churches United for Justice, who've been pushing us to come on to a meeting and show us where they're at before we divvy out any sort of money. But as far as the what's it, $2.9 million, I'm assuming that's left, I'd want it to go to some sort of applications that have gone through our process.
Okay, Commissioner Townsend.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I think I'm in a combination of all of the above. Commissioner Bynum has her list, and what I was going to ask for is just at our next meeting, everybody have whoever they want to put in as a wild card. Some of these I remember and supported, but I want to go back to them, to that list. Area agency was one I distinctly remember supporting, and Pharmacy of Grace, but I can't remember where they ranked. That might have been 1 or 2. But at this point, if they were eligible at all, I think it should be fair game. So if you want to call it a wild card, whatever. But I agree again to maximize the number of people that could be assisted. After we identify these people, the scalability question should be asked, although at this point, I think some of these are going to be some of the, well, they may not be. I started to say some of the applications may not be as expensive, but I can't say that without going back. So forget that. I was intrigued by Commissioner Davis's suggestion to have representatives from Justice United, Churches United. If you use the revenue replacement, and I know we have talked about this on any number of previous meetings, you take away the immediate time rush, because these funds are time sensitive for ARPA. So, it can't be lost from looking at the applications that were put forward and now moved on out of standing committee, the amount of money targeted in those applications for housing. So what is, I guess at this point, it would be interesting to hear what the trust fund is going to do, what need that's going to meet, that these other allocations that deal with housing are not meeting or helping in, in a different way. So That's what I would like to see done. So just need a little bit more time to get everybody, get their list together and then come back. And do we know right now how much money after taking out that, what was 190,000 and some change, 194? Well, let's just call it 2. We're looking at about 2 million, I guess, right now. Left. Yeah, about that. Okay.
If we had 3.1 and we allocated another 186, we have 2.914.
Almost 3. We're still at almost.
Well, or was it 190 something? Yeah, okay.
Erica says she messaged me, she's working on it, so she'll get.
Okay,
us a final
all right.
number.
Okay. So to be conservative, we know at least 2.
Right.
Okay.
All right. Anything else, Commissioner Townsend?
No.
All right, Commissioner Bynum.
Things I do agree, I think, with everything that's been said. And I certainly can look at, if we go with the housing trust fund concept and we utilize revenue replacement dollars, I would just ask someone from our finance to come back around to us and make sure that I understand. Well, I see Debbie's here. Thank you, Debbie.
What was that question again, Commissioner?
Well, I don't know if I've formulated my question yet, because I want to make sure I understand that dollars that we have utilized as revenue replacement are they plugging current budget gaps? Are they sitting in our reserve? Have we quote unquote spent them? I just need to make sure I understand. But that aside, I'm not opposed, Commissioner Davis, to that concept. So that's all I'm trying to spit out.
I'll just comment that, yeah, some of the revenue replacement funds were used to offset some of the operating, the shortfalls in revenue that we had. Now we did, in the budget, we had and we talked about this before, that 7 million that was set aside, I think, for grant matches, that there, and then I think about 3.5 million of that was then authorized for the bridge. But that other 3.5 million is just, it's sitting in the city general fund, kind of being held for what the committee decides to use it for.
Okay, thanks.
If that helps to answer your
No,
question.
it does. And it reminds me that I think that's what we were explained last time too. So thank you.
Right. And I think that the revenue replacement money did go to all the fund, it was spread out to a lot of the funds. Now in the other funds outside of the general fund, it probably was used to offset operating expenses.
Okay.
Madam Chair,
Yes, go ahead.
along that same line while Ms. Johnsher is on, with the revenue replacement dollars, the 3 million. What do I want to say, commitment? I don't know if that'd be too strong a word, but at least an eye on how much of that 3 million, Ms. Johnsher, were we looking at with regard to grant matches, or do we have a number at this point?
I think the full, it was actually, I think the remaining amount in the city general fund was 3.5 million. But as far as I know, I don't think anything's been allocated to a grant match at this point.
Okay, so we were just basically saying, okay, you've got this 3 million, that could be a source of grant matching funds, but we don't have in mind at this point that we need 500,000 of it or 20,000 or 1.5 of it. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks. But yeah, I think that is a good point, is that we had discussed, and the full commission had discussed, the benefits of keeping some of that funding as grant matching, because all these grants that are coming down the pike do require matches at various levels. So if we spend it all down, that may inhibit our ability to take advantage of those grants.
And I think it is wise to retain some of that money just for that purpose, so we're not scrambling around. Everybody is happy when we can put in a grant, and some need matching and some don't. And again, since it's now revenue replacement, again, that time stricture doesn't have to apply. So, okay. Thank you.
Yes, Commissioner Davis.
Yeah, I mean, as another idea, not as methodical, but there could be a more methodical process with this. We could take the remaining money, split it up by 5, just say that's your allocation, kind of similar to the casino grant. And then we can submit, here's what I would fund with kind of my portion. Take those applications with their scores, rank them in priority, and then based upon what was selected and what has the highest scores, that goes into what's funded. So I mean, there's multiple ways that we can do this, but we do have a process that we can look at, multiple processes that we can look at to divvy out the remaining 2.9 million for eligible expenditures.
Commissioner McKiernan, I didn't realize you hopped on with us because I'm staring at this whiteboard, but welcome.
My apologies for being late.
No, you're fine. I think what I'm hearing is that folks are interested in looping back to consider additional applications that came in through the application process. And that if there is going to be further discussion in the Housing Trust Fund, that's probably going to happen as a revenue replacement expenditure and not out of these funds. That's what I seem to be hearing. But Commissioner McKiernan, you were the only one I hadn't heard weigh in, since I didn't realize you were here. So I wanted to give you an opportunity to share any thoughts you have before we come up with the process.
Just very briefly, I did infer that we were trying to figure out disposition of remaining funds. And just 2 thoughts go through my mind. And I think I've heard it said here already that we should only consider those that had applied but were not funded, and not consider anyone new who had not previously applied. And the other thing that strikes me is that some of the applications that were funded at some fractional percentage of the request. And so I am just mulling over in my head, if someone who has not previously been funded gets funded at 100% of their request, does that present an issue that we want to address if someone who has already been funded was funded at 50% of their request? And I don't know if that's even an issue, but those are the 2 things that cross my mind.
Thank you. Commissioner Davis?
I think that's an excellent kind of rule of thumb and being consistent. I think anything we fund with this remaining $2.9 million needs to be scalability. I don't think anyone should get 100% given that's what we did for the first round. We set that precedent. Let's be consistent all the way through. Whoever gets whatever money, they should abide by the same rules. That way we're being consistent. But I think that's an excellent point, Commissioner Kearney.
Commissioner Townsend?
Yes, I think I had mentioned the scalability factor earlier, but I do recall that when we had the opportunity to go back and identify how much money, each of us wanted to give some of these projects some were funded at 100% and, you know, it didn't go through like that because we ended up with the, I can't remember if it was the median or the mean we used at the time. But my point is, it's a whole lot different to give somebody who's asking for $100,000 100% than somebody who is asking for, you know, $1 million too. So we have to keep that in mind, and it would still be fair. So,
I just added the final figure, including our change for the parks application over here as a note. So we're still at almost 3 million, just a little shy. Okay, so I think what I'm hearing is that we're gonna maybe do two things. We're gonna submit some wild cards. You all are gonna submit some wild cards. And then also next meeting, we're gonna be prepared to discuss maybe that next set of applications that came in. When we did our allocations, we went down and we went everybody who had 45 points or more. So we might go down to like 40 and see what was between that 40 and 45 that didn't get funding. So I'll plan on having those up on the screen to look at the next time we get together. How many wild cards do you all want to submit to me? 3? Go ahead. Just throw it out
okay,
there.
I'm confused right now.
Okay.
Because I'm looking at one of the sheets that came as of, I think this was about our August 23rd meeting. And I guess the total points, I even forgot what that was, the 45 through 40 down. So,
yeah, we did. Everybody who had 45 points or more was on that, was funded essentially.
yeah. But I guess what I'm saying is I don't want to get us back into the same problem unless you're doing wild cards. Maybe that's why you're asking, because I'm looking, for example, on the area aging, and I don't see it on there. But again, I voted for that in the first pass. Maybe I'm overlooking it. So,
Well, like I said, I think it'd be a 2-part process. We would have that list up at the meeting to talk about those applications that weren't, kind of look at the points, look at the ranking and see what is left out there, particularly those that got a higher rank. But then, I mean, you can do wild cards from the whole list. And then we can consider the higher ranking applications, you know, as a group as well, just like we did, kind of just like we did in the original process.
mm-hmm.
We looked at the higher ranking ones and then I asked you to submit wild cards that were not in that higher ranking group. So if we went from 40 points to 45 points, anything that wasn't funded, we'll consider that and look at that during the meeting. Anything that didn't get 40 points, you can wild card. Thoughts, questions, comments, potential process?
I'm good with that process. We all get 3 and we kind of submit the rankings. I was going to bring up the rankings anyway, just to see again, how do we make sure that there's still some method or a process by which we were picking this and that, you know, there was something empirical in our decision making. But I'm good with pick 3, put your rankings right next to them, look at the price tag of them all, and then kind of adjust as needed.
Okay. Anyone else have thoughts on that process?
Well, at this point, it would be interesting if there's anything on the listing, you know, from which we took the wild cards that didn't get in that we really thought was significant. I guess I would just like this to be our last pass at anything else we might look at. So, you know, I guess that's where the wild cards come in. So the other thing, the other question I have is, by when would you want these? Could we submit these before our next meeting? So the scalability aspect could be looked at and we would have that information by the next meeting.
Yes, I agree. I don't know when the next meeting's gonna be, so I'd probably,
Okay.
we still have to work on that and then I'll get you a deadline out, but I agree. I'll ask you to have your wild card submitted to me in advance of the meeting.
Okay,
So we can be prepared to have that discussion.
thank you.
Okay, so I just want to, and this is not because I'm trying to push anybody any direction, I just want to say it out loud. We're really talking about making a final pass at the current applicants. And that means the sort of housing concepts that are floating around out there that are not shovel ready are not going to be funded by this pot of money. And I think that's fine because I don't think they're shovel ready, but I just want to say that out loud. Because once we spend this money, it's gone, right? And I know there had been a lot of discussion about these different concepts that were out there. I just am not sure that any of them are feasibly funded as of today. So I just want to throw that out there and make sure that nobody, says no, that's not the direction we want to go before we finalize this. I see everyone holding their peace. So good. Just want to make sure we're on the same page. All right. So-
Okay, I'm
Go ahead.
confused now by that last statement. When you're talking
Yeah.
about the shovel ready, what are we talking about here?
So there's a housing committee that's meeting, there's a homeless committee that's meeting, there are a number, or there's a housing trust group that's meeting. There are a number of different housing related concepts that are being discussed by various groups right now. And I think some of them might come up with some good stuff, but I just don't know that any of them are going to be fundable within the time frame that these funds need to be spent in, because they're not even to the point of having a solid plan or a plan at all. So there'd been some discussion out there of, oh, we could use this money for one of those concepts. What I hear this committee saying, and what I think is accurate, is that those are probably aren't far enough along for this funding to be and I've sort of, since we had our last meeting, I did some talking around to make sure that I wasn't just crediting the possibility of those funds going to those sources, but I did not find that any of those concepts seem to be far enough along, and I seem to be hearing this committee say that they are in agreement with that.
Oh, okay. So you're talking about projects that may not have come through by virtue of an application. Oh,
Right.
okay. All right. Well, okay, I see what you're saying.
Right. I just want to make sure we're on the same page, because some of those committee members from those other entities are sure to come back and say, I thought you were going to give us all that money for our project. But I think the concern is those projects just aren't solid enough at this point to meet their deadlines. And like I said, I did a little chatting around just to make sure I wasn't crazy. Nothing, I don't think anything is far enough along to meet the deadlines required.
Yeah. Well, I think again, for my 2 cents or my $2.9 million, $2,983,267.83 worth. Yes, I think it's fair to look at what is before us. Now, the housing trust concept had been out there. They did not put in an application, but there's been enough discussion about that we're aware of it. But yeah, for this next pass, yes, I understand now. Yes, and I agree. Looking at those who have submitted applications.
Okay. All right, so next steps, I think, are Lisa and I will work on a next meeting date as well as a deadline. So we'll give you a deadline in advance of that next meeting date to get wildcards to me. And next meeting, we will discuss the higher ranking, and I'll kind of find a nice breaking point, hopefully, in where those points were. We'll look at the next set down from those that got funded in terms of how many points they got in our original ranking. And we'll consider all of your wild cards and begin to march forward in similar fashion to what we have before. Sound good?
Just for sake of fairness, because one of my wild cards did not get in because it was the warming shelter and it took on a different path, which I'm grateful for, but then I lost one. Can we have 3 wild cards and then like a 4th alternative in the event our wild cards match the other person's wild card?
Sure. I'm not gonna skewer any of you for giving an additional one, but we'll aim for 3-ish, okay?
All right, I'm just trying to be fair because I feel a little way about it, but it's okay. It's all right. It's all
Yeah.
right.
Okay. Anything else? All right. You will get an email from me with your deadline as soon as Lisa and I, excuse me, can settle on a meeting date. So look for that. But you also know your assignment, so sorry. So assignment is wild cards. Good?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I'm choking here. Okay. Look for your deadline, think of your wild cards, and Lisa and I will be in touch about a meeting date, okay?
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.